Hare Krishna and welcome to all the candidates for the first and the second initiation ceremony. As per the system given by Srila Prabhupada, as per his last wish, Diksha. How many are first initiation here? First initiation, Hare Krishna. So, Diksha, you may know already, comes from two words, sounds, Di and Ksha. Di represent Divya Gyan and Ksha is Papakshaya. Two things which is primarily needed for returning home back to Krishna. All of you know that we are in a place which is unsuitable for us. Us meaning the spirit soul. Not us the body, not us the mind, or not us the ego, what we have assumed. So this is not the place for the living entities to be in, because he should be with Krishna. He should be associating with Krishna and his paraphernalia. But unfortunately we are here in this material world. And the process of liberation has already started by us coming in touch with this Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Parampara, the most sacred, live, vibrant, practicing parampara in the Vaishnava system. So having come here, this is an opportunity for us to revive the Krishna consciousness, which is as a Sarupa of the spirit soul. So to go back to our original position, the two most important aspect is the Gyan, Divya Gyan, knowledge about our original position. Gyan does not mean just material or theoretical understanding, superficial understanding. All of us know Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of us have heard we are not the body. All of us know we have to go back to Him, but we are not able to go back to Him. So knowledge is there, but the vijnana, the realized knowledge, realizing the knowledge by practice, making the knowledge a reality, that is Divya Gyan, realized knowledge. Tena Brahma Hridaya, like Brahma, realized. So this realization happens in the heart, not in the memory. So this Divya Gyan is one of the components required to go back to the original position. But for that, what is stopping us is the karma, which is due to papa. So this building up of this papa is there, which is stopping us from knowing the jnana, which is stopping us from performing the original constitutional activities. Now we are performing conditional activities. Those activities which we are made to do in this condition. Sometimes we are in human condition, we do human activities. We are in animal condition, you do animal activities. So these are conditional activities. Even the activities we may do in Varna and Ashrama are also conditional activities. Brahmanas, Satriyas, Vaishyas, Shudra, or brahmachari, sannyasi, these are all conditional. Constitutional activity, nitya seva. The constitutional activity is Krishna consciousness, bhakti, performance of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So that is the constitutional activity of the soul. And what is stopping that is our conditional situation, which is due to papa. The covering of the soul build-up covering, subtle covering and the gross covering. So by the process of proper Diksha, one is supposed to develop Divya Gyan and one is able to burn his Papa, all by the grace of the spiritual master who is at the lotus feet of Krishna. So taking shelter of such a spiritual master, taking shelter of this Acharya who is dear to Krishna, who has come to us by good fortune and by the mercy of this personality. So that is the opportunity we have in this decision you all have made by taking this determination. So Diksha is a beginning process. It is not an end process. By Diksha, one gets opportunity for this purification. Yes, there are certain qualifications needed. Some qualification needed to even get Diksha. Just like if you want to be a doctor, you should have a pre-university degree. With your SSLC or a matriculation, you cannot enter a MBBS college. So there is a pre-requirement of getting something to get into this college. So this is like an admission. So this is like an admission which guarantees that you will become a doctor. But by admission, you don't become a doctor. Similarly, by Diksha, you don't become pure. It's a prerequisite to become pure. And for Diksha, there are also pre-requirements. So having qualified for Diksha, which is what? Qualification of Diksha is the determination. Determination to follow. Determination to serve. Determination to give up. Determination to surrender. Sharanagati. So then what is sharanagati? Full surrender, irrespective of any personal needs, personal requirements, care for person. So a devotee who is taking Diksha, who is desiring to go back to Godhead, who is desiring to serve the spiritual master, has to first understand that he is ready to give up his own requirements. Unless we are ready to give up our own requirements, we cannot surrender 100% to the spiritual master. And 100% dedicate our life to satisfy his wishes. Why? Because the Supreme Lord has wished that anybody who comes back to him should come through his pure devotees. As Krishna has explained in Adi Purana, anybody who considers himself as my devotee, I don't consider him as a devotee, unless he considers himself as a devotee of my devotee. That is the process. That is the principle. So to satisfy the devotee of the Supreme Lord, one surrenders to him. And it's a very personal philosophy. This is not a mechanical philosophy that, okay, I studied 5 years in engineering college, I have to get a certificate if I pass. I have gone through 5 years of doctorate, I have to become doctorate. I have done my research, I have to get. But here I have done everything, read Bhagavatam 10,000 times. I may not get Krishna. That is the difference. Material knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Because spiritual knowledge is under the control of a personality. Material knowledge is a control of a system. You go through the system, it doesn't matter who you are. You are able to vomit everything that is in the book, you will get. But here, vomiting won't help. Here, proper personal connection with Krishna. You have a connection with professor or your dean, doesn't matter. Right? He may say yes sir, and behind him he will say so many other things. It doesn't matter. It's not a personal connection. Even though in many of the traditional knowledge, personal connection is important. You take any of those Vaidika knowledge, Natya Shastra, or any of those things. Also, the blessing of the teacher, blessing of the Guru, this is a system in the Vedic system, not in the modern system. But spiritual system is totally different. In spiritual system, one cannot get Krishna without pleasing the servant of Krishna. Now, pleasing the servant of Krishna does not mean simply shaking your head in front of him. Yes. It is not a tongue service. Right? It is a service. It is surrender of one's heart. So one has to manasa, vacha, karmana. By one's mind, by one's words, and by one's action, have to surrender to the personality. And not only surrender to the personality, make sure that the personality is satisfied. That is a requirement to get Krishna. So there is a system, but there is a very, very deep personal connection. That personal connection makes us qualified to be accepted by Krishna. As Prabhupada quotes from Upanishad many times, what is that verse? Naham labhyo pravachanena labhyaha nayam atma pravachanena labhyaha na medhaya bahuda sutena. I am not available. Even if you are a great intelligent person, you are a great orator, you are a great Vedic person, I am available only if I allow you to be. I allow myself to be available to you. So this is Krishna's demand. So he is called transcendental autocrat. And we are all against autocrats in this material world, right? Nobody likes autocrat. Everybody blames you. Oh, he is an autocrat. Krishna is an autocrat. Can you accept that? Yes. If we can accept Krishna is autocrat and his wish goes, nothing but his wish, then we are ready. So this is a preparation to get that consciousness. Diksha is a preparation to get that consciousness. Diksha allows us to get that consciousness. Why? Because once we have the blessing of the spiritual master, then we are not fighting alone. Material world is like a fight. Fighting against Maya, fighting against the current. So if you are alone, it's difficult. We need to have equipments. We have to be properly armed when we are fighting, right? The same way, the arm, the armor, that's the blessing of the spiritual master. The holy name of the Lord, the Bhagavata, person Bhagavata, and the philosophy Bhagavata. We are entering a very, very personal arena. Just like a girl wants to marry a person. I like you, I want to marry you. But I don't like your mother, I don't like your father, I don't like your dog, I don't like your house, I don't like. If possible, he has to get out. But you cannot go to Krishna saying, Krishna, I like you, but nothing around you. That is not possible. We are accepting the whole. We are not accepting one person. Because Krishna is that whole. You cannot say, I'll take Krishna, but I don't like this, I don't like that. No. Lock, stock, and barrel, you have to accept. So one has to understand that one is entering the whole. We are separated, like the spark is separated from the fire. So today we are separated. Now we have to get into the whole, which means Krishna and his paraphernalia. Krishna, his devotees, his places, his paraphernalia, his philosophy, his desires, his interest. Because we are part of him. Now we are disconnected, so we think my interest is different, Krishna's interest is different. So as part of surrender, one of the principal elements of surrender is to accept the interest of Krishna and keep our interests aside. There are 6 aspects of surrender. So keeping Krishna's interest. So this learning process starts with Diksha. It's not an end process, it is a beginning process. You are qualified. You are qualified to receive the mercy of the spiritual master by your dedication. As long as you're dedicated, it's a contract. So the spiritual master guarantees, like Prabhupada said, chant 16 rounds, understand the philosophy, follow the principles, remain in Krishna consciousness, serve and associate with devotees, be in my system created by me, I will take you back to Godhead. What more can a person say? Krishna also said the same thing, Sarvadharman Parityaja, and we don't care for that. Spiritual master comes and says, he is a person who has gone through the life which all of us are going through. Hence great devotees, great acharyas, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, who has gone through this material world. They go through this material world through the nauka and they leave back the nauka back to us. So we also take the same boat and go. Not that he takes a boat and goes. And what is the ship? The ship is his personal way he dealt in this material world. How he crossed this material world. The same process we also follow. So he leaves the process behind, which is like the ship left behind for others to follow, to cross this material world. This ocean of material world. So that begins with Diksha. This qualifies us to be ready to go back to Krishna and gives us all that we lack. Not that he gives everything and we don't have to do anything, no. God helps those who help themselves. Same way, the spiritual master helps those who help themselves. How is that? When we are dedicated, when we are proactively dedicated and serving him, then the strength to do that comes. So this way, the devotees, the disciples, are taken back to Krishna by the spiritual master to engage in our original position. So it's a very, very serious business. Now I am very free in my life and I am ready to take Diksha. No. It's not a free time work. It's a full-time work. So we have to make sure that we give our time, we give our energy. These are the 2 things we can surrender to Krishna. What is we have? We have our time and we have our energy. So brahmacharis in the temple give their time and their energy for the cause of the ashram, which is the house of the spiritual master. And there are the grihasthas who stay outside the temple, but they also give their time and energy, whatever is left after taking care of their first duty. So they have the license to take care of the first duty. Brahmacharis in the temple, automatically they go back to Godhead. Now what about me sitting in my house? Now you also have the opportunity to go back to Godhead by the same process the people living in the temple. So it doesn't matter whether one is staying in the temple or staying outside the temple. Both have the equal opportunity to go back to Godhead by following the process. But one has to surrender. Be ready to give his time and give his energy. So grihasthas, they earn money, they spend their time in earning money, and they earn money, whether it's an employment, whether it's a business, and they have the duty for their ashram, the grihastha ashram duties, which includes immediate requirement, which includes emergency requirement, handy parts proportionately to his surrender, the balance to the spiritual master's cause. That is a surrender. And he keeps aside time enough to serve the spiritual master. So giving one's time and giving one's energy is a symptom of surrender. Not taking Diksha, change name, or you have a white thread, that doesn't make us qualified surrendered soul. What makes us qualified surrendered soul is what quantum of time and energy we spend for the absolute cause. So that begins with Diksha. And a person taking Diksha is determined to do these things. If anybody wants to think twice, this is the right time. Right, when you go to war, they all assemble and say, anybody who wants to come out of this war, this is the right time to decide. So same way, this is the right time to decide. Before the Agni, before the Vaishnavas, before the holy name, before the deities, we take a pledge to dedicate. But according to Prabhupada, this is the most intelligent decision one takes. Sumeda Saha, the most intelligent decision. Why? When you come to know that I am walking through the drain, and somebody says, this is drain, dirty place you are walking through, this is a road. Having come to know the dirty road, he gets into the proper road. So now we are driving on the main road. Till now we were driving on the drainage. Oh, he Sumeda Saha. Most intelligent person. Why? He doesn't work like a donkey in this material world for material causes. So one has to balance his life, his material requirements, and keep spiritual requirement as a priority. And step by step, if you follow this process, Prabhupada has already guaranteed us shelter of Krishna. Why all these things? To get the ultimate shelter, which gives us Satchit Ananda, the state of eternity, the state of shelter and permanent bliss. Not material bliss, not temporary bliss, permanent happiness. So if you want to experience the happiness of the soul, Atma Ramaha, self-sufficiently blissful soul, satisfied in himself, in service of the Supreme Lord. So that is the position we are trying to get. That is why it is called intelligent. Rather than in this material world, somehow or the other trying to get happy. In spite of all the difficulties, cross the difficulties. And after all these things, the man thinks he is a hero. I made it in this material world. That is why Prabhupada says, this is like a camel chewing the thorn. Finally, he is only tasting his blood. Same way the man who says, I am successful in the material world is only tasting his own blood without knowing. That is not intelligent. What is intelligent is understanding that I am in an unnecessary business and enter the real business, which gives real bliss, real happiness, real connection with our relations. All the relations in this material world, by the way, happen so. But the real relationship is with Krishna and the pure devotees. And that begins with Diksha. Hence it is called the most right decision. It is called the most intelligent decision. So thank you very much for taking this decision. So we will continue with the other process. Anybody has any questions? Anybody who wants to go outside, talk to the wife and they decide again. This is the time to do all those things. Make a phone call. Otherwise we can proceed.